सब्सक्राइब करें हमारा यूट्यूब चैनल, बेल आइकन को क्लिक करना ना भूलें, जिससे आगे आने वाले सभी यूट्यूब अपडेट्स, वीडियोस, नोटिफिकेशंस आपको मिलते रहें।
हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, नमस्ते आप सभी को। मैं डॉक्टर रिचा सिंह आज आपके सामने परिष्कार परिवार की ओर से आपके लिए ज्योग्राफी का मॉडल पेपर, 12th मॉडल पेपर, क्योंकि आपके अपकमिंग एग्जाम्स आ रहे हैं तो अभी बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आप एक मॉडल पेपर के थ्रू अपना एक थरो रिवीजन करें। तो लेट्स बिगिन। ऑल द 12th क्लास स्टूडेंट्स, ऑल द बेस्ट फॉर योर future examination. Now let's start. Now let's begin with our model paper of geography subject. Now we go through the general instructions of the question paper which will be coming on in your board exams. ठीक है, आपको पता है सबको कि 3 hours का आपका पूरा पेपर होता है and maximum marks will be 70. Right? इसमें general instructions आपको क्या है? The question paper is divided into 4 sections. 4 sections में आपका ये पूरा question paper divided होगा A, B, C, D. ठीक है. Section A, which comprises of 1 to 17, it is MCQ based. Multiple choice questions होंगे आपके section A में. Section B में आपके short answer types questions होंगे and section C comprises of your long answer types question and D, all you know, you are geography students, तो आपका section D comprise करेगा map based question. So this is how your whole question paper is divided. Now let's begin with our section A, multiple choice question. Which 2 cities are connected by channel tunnel? Now you should know what is channel tunnel, where it is located, and it is connecting which 2 cities. For this I have given you a small picture also of the channel tunnel. It is connecting 2 countries, France, England, right? So now you have to evaluate your options. London with Rome? No, it's in Italy. London with Paris? Maybe. London with Berlin, Germany. London with Barcelona? You can't say no, it's not. So which 2 countries? Now channel tunnel, you should know about the channel tunnel. It's an important tunnel. It is also known as Eurotunnel. It is a rail tunnel, underground rail tunnel. So the right answer will be London with Paris. It is connecting, the most probable option among all these 4 is C. It is connecting London with Paris. So you should know the important tunnel, rail tunnels and its location on the world map. Now moving further with our second choice, multiple choice question. Which of the following pairs is correctly match? Now you have to see name of the country is given and oil ports is given. Now you should know the important oil ports of the countries. So here you have to, then you will be able to solve this answer. Tunisia, Tripoli, Lebanon, Shirka, Venezuela, Maracaibo, Oman, Eden. Which of the following is correctly matched? Now if you know the correct oil ports and its connected country, then you can answer this question. So here the right answer will be Venezuela, Maracaibo. Now on the map itself you can see where is Maracaibo is given. It's in the, it is a oil port, it is a sea port, right? Basically it's located on the sea coast and it is in the country of Venezuela. So the correct answer will be your C. Now moving on to the third question. The third question, which of the following may be interpreted as a spontaneous effort to achieve a better balance between population and resources? Now here I want you to make a note of one particular thing. Now what it is asked? A balance have to be struck between population and resources, but the balance has to be spontaneous, तुरंत होना चाहिए. Spontaneous word आ गया. Now you have to focus on this keyword and accordingly you have to choose your correct answer. What it can be? Spontaneous turant, so whether it can be death rate, birth rate, growth rate, you know, birth and death rate can't be spontaneous. They can't be happen immediately. They take a time, a particular time frame. Growth rate is dependent on these two, and the most immediate effect which can strike a balance between these two resources is the migration. So the correct answer is migration. So this is the manner in which you have to evaluate your given options. You can't jump directly to the correct answer. You have to first evaluate your first 4 given options, and then you have to check whether these options are right or wrong according to the given questions. After rejecting the 3, you can get your final correct answer. So let's move to our next question. Which of the following feature is related to the second stage of demographics transaction theory? Now in this question you should know the demographic transaction theory. It was given by Norton, right? Now the stages, you should know the stages, particular stages of demographic transition theory. For your understanding, I have given a graph of demographic transition model. So here you can see the 4 stages. In the first stage, you can see the birth rate and death rate are both rising. Now what is being asked in the question? The second stage, it is asking about the second stage of demographics transition model. So we can see here in the second stage, the birth rate has started, the birth rate is increasing at a constant pace, but the death rate has started declining. So in the given 4 option, which is matching the correct one? Fertility and mortality declined considerably? No. Decline in mortality, but fertility remains high? Yes, there is decline in mortality. Mortality is what? Death rate, and fertility is still high, the birth rate is still high. Fertility and mortality? No, it was in the first phase. Fertility declines but and mortality high? No. It is also talking about the fourth stage. So we can choose, our correct option is B. So this is, you should know the exact stages, and you can also draw a rough diagram thereon in your exam, and there you can check whether you are going right or wrong. What is a major export from New Mangalore ports? Now again it is a kind of a general awareness type of question. So you should know the New Mangalore is a port right in Karnataka. Now what is a major item of export it deals with? You know, there is a famous Kundermukh iron ore field in Karnataka. So mainly New Mangalore port deals with the export of iron ore. Which of the following is a feature of Kandala port? Now we are talking about Kandala port. Again it's a port question. So it is the biggest port of the country. Its harbour is situated in Zuri, its estuary. It is situated in the head at the Gulf of Kutch. It is the oldest port of India. So you have to learn the important ports which is already given in your CBSE based NCERT books, the important ports of India. So you have to just know the characteristics of your ports. So the right answer, it is situated at the head of the Gulf of Kutch. And where the Gulf of Kutch, we all know it's in the state of Gujarat, and I will show you in the Indian map itself. Our 7th question, which of the following is incorrectly matched? Now you have to know which of the following is not correctly matched. Name of the state is given and coal mining center is given. So you should know the important coal mining centers of India, right? Telangana, Singhareni, you should know whether it is located in Telangana or not. Maharashtra, Korba, Odisha, Talcher, West Bengal, Raniganj. So we all know, if you know your coal fields correctly, you all know that Korba coal field is situated in the state of Chhattisgarh? So our answer in this question will be D, Maharashtra, right? Now identify the correct order of location from west to east for the given natural gas reserve of India. Now starting for this type of question, you should know the location of the natural gas reserve. You should know the location of the places. So what you need to do is go. You have to learn the political map of India thoroughly. Where are the important places located, and in what directions? Then only you can remember the direction of the places. Now you can see in this answer itself. Now reading all these options, our correct option will be, when it is talking about from west to east direction, when we are talking from west to east direction, you should know which place is located on the western side. We all know that Jaisalmer is located on the western side. So our probability of option B is more. So our right answer is B, Jaisalmer, Ankleshwar, Krishna, Godavari, and you know Tripura is the easternmost state of India. So Tripura has to be on the last option. Now we can see this question based on the map also itself. Now you can see here Barmer, Jaisalmer, it is located on the western side. Then next Ankleshwar, Krishna, Godavari basin, and then Tripura. So if you know thoroughly your political map of India and the important location of the places, so you can easily solve this question. Now one more question which I told you previously about the Kandla post. So Kandla post is situated in state of Gujarat definitely, and on Gulf of Kutch. So it is situated on the head of the Gulf of Kutch. So you can solve this question itself. Now which of the following are industrial towns of India? Now you should know, you have a detailed chapter about industrial towns of India in your NCERT books. So there you should know which are the industrial towns of India. Among these, answer A is the right, Hooghly, West Bengal. It is also, you have Salem steel plant, right, and Bhilai. Chhattisgarh is also a steel plant. So these three are industrial towns of India. Now moving on to the next question. Which of the following are the features of urban settlements in India? Urban settlement, now you can see, if you know about what kind of urban settlement, what are the patterns and what are the main characteristics of urban settlement, you can easily solve the question. So we look at the option given one by one. It provides a variety of services, starting from the D, provide a variety of services, poor transport network, no. Urban city doesn't provide a poor transport network, and the social relation are very casual and formal, they are not intimate. So it is incorrect. So again D is not the correct answer. Economy mainly based on primary activity, the first line itself proved that this is incorrect one. Intimate social relationship, again it is repeating the same thing, no. Complex way of living, manufacturing of finished good, nodes of economic growth, yes, it is most likely to be an answer because an urban settlement provides these characteristics of living. So our right answer is A. So this is how you have to evaluate your answer, by looking at the other option itself. Don't forget to look at the other option. Even if you know the correct answer, please go through other options itself, because it can be likely that one or more option can be more or less similar. So there might be a probability of marking the wrong answer. So please go through all the options and evaluate it thoroughly. And one more thing I want to tell you and advise you, that in MCQ section, in your section A, you can gain maximum marks if you know the correct answer and if you with your balanced head solve all the options and mark the correct answer, there is maximum opportunity of gaining more marks in MCQ. So you can gain more and more in your section A. Now moving on to the next. Arrange the following in correct sequence. Now what it is asking you to arrange a sequence. A process is given. You should know what is the sequence of generating geothermal energy, right? So you should know the whole process of geothermal energy if you want to solve this question. Now looking at these, the 11th question deals with a process. So you should know the stages of generation of that process. Now in this question, the generation of geothermal energy is being asked. So you should know step by step the sequence of generation of geothermal energy. Now looking at these 4 options, first go read these 4 options. Then looking at these 4 options, then now you evaluate which one will come first, then second, then third, and then the last. Now the correct answer here is A. Now first it's the introduction about geothermal energy. Geothermal energy exists because the earth grows. Why this geothermal energy is there? Because we all know with increasing depth there is rise in temperature. So because the earth grows progressively hotter with increasing depth. Then second option, groundwater in such areas absorb heat from the rock, and rocks do transmit heat. So the groundwater in these certain areas get hotter because they get the heat from the adjoining rock and they become hot. Then it is so hot that your liquid turn into gaseous form, that when it rises to the earth's surface is turned into steam, right? Now the third, this steam is used to drive turbines and generate electricity. Finally the steam is used to drive the turbines and generation of the electricity. So these are the sequence. So first you go through, read carefully all the steps, and then you decide which step will come first and which will come followed it later on, right? Question number 12 gives you 2 statements. Consider the following statement and choose the correct option from the given. Now you have to consider both these statements, read these statements carefully, and then read what is asked in the option itself. The first statement, what it tells, the World Trade Organization, abbreviation WTO, however, has been criticized and opposed by those who are worried about the effects of free trade and economic globalization. Free trade does not make ordinary people's lives more prosperous. Now these are 2 statements. First statement tell you that it has been opposed, it has been criticized by those which are not being benefited from it. Now in the second statement it is saying why it is not benefiting, because the ordinary people life has been the same and has become more vulnerable. It has not lead to a more happy and a prosperous life. So we can read the following options. Only one statement is correct, both the statements are true, and statement second correctly present the reason for statement 1. Only statement second is correct, both the statements are incorrect. For this you should have the knowledge of the topic. In solving in these type of question, you should have the knowledge of the topic. If we know about the characteristics and about the global scenario of the World Trade Organization, then we can solve this question very easily. So here our correct answer is B. Both the statement are true and the statement second correctly present the reason for the statement 1. If you know the global scenario, then you can easily clarify this answer that it does not make the ordinary people like happier and prosperous, because free trade only benefit the developed nation, not the developing and the underdeveloped one. Now, moving on to our next question, 13. Now, assertion and reason. Now, this type of question will also be there in your MCQs based question. Assertion is a statement with strong affirmation, and reason, it is because of this reason this statement is stated, right? Now, assertion is settlement can be of various type. You all know, yes, we have studied that human settlement can be of various type. Why the reason? Now, the reason for this statement, various physical factors affect the growth of settlement. We all know that our human settlement are governed by various physical factors, relief, climate, drainage. Now, only assertion is correct, only reason is correct. Both statements are correct. Statement second correctly explains the statement 1. Both are correct but are not related to each other. So, it was a quite simple one. So, we all know that our correct will be C. Both statements are correct. Statement second correctly explains statement first. Okay. Now, 14th. 14th is also of assertion and reason. Mediterranean region have been inhabited from earlier period in history. We know about Mediterranean region, where it is located, surrounding Mediterranean Sea, right? These regions are civilized. They have been civilized from the early periods in history. Reason, now they give the reason, plain areas are favorable for the production of crops and to build roads and industry. Now, in these two statements, we can find a anomaly type. They do not match or fit each other. Although statement assertion is correct and reason, the statement is right, but it is not the reason of this assertion. So, our correct answer will be both assertion and reason are correct in their places, but the reason is not explaining the assertion. It is completely a different statement. It is not explaining ki why Mediterranean region have been inhabited from time immemorial. So, these are independent. They are both independent statement, and this reason is not dependent, because reason has to be dependent on assertion. This is not dependent, right? So, we can come to the conclusion that our option D is the correct one. Now, section A comprises one more feature of MCQs is a case study will be provided to you. It is given to you, and reading the passage and the case study itself, you have to answer the related MCQs. Now, if you carefully read this case study, you will be able to solve the given questions. Now, while reading, now if you are going through this case study, while reading the case study, just mark an important note that underline the keywords. When you read it paragraph by paragraph, just mark the keywords, and if you note the keywords, you will be able to solve your MCQs based on this very fast, right? So, here we solve these MCQs. Now, which of the following method it is based on the case study itself? These questions are based on the case study. Which of the following method of water conservation brought prosperity in Regal Siddhi? Now, we are talking about a case study of a town, Regal Siddhi. Okay, it's in Maharashtra. Now, what kind of method of water conservation? Because the whole case study was talking about water conservation. So, what kind of water conservation has brought prosperity in that region? So, if you go through the case study itself, you can see in the first 3 lines only the answer is given. So, here I have marked the important keywords: watershed development. So, it is talking about watershed development. So, the answer will be watershed development. Next, which of the following measures were taken to increase democratic participation in the village? Now, this case study is again talking about the democratic participation. Now if you read the passage itself, now then you will come to know its answer. Local body election, because here I'll show you, I have marked important keywords in it. It talks about election to local bodies, right? The local, it is talking about community representative, local representative, so it is talking about local election. Which of the following made Raligarh Siddhi independent of government financial aid? Now next question is how they are making that region self-sufficient. What is the main reason for this self-reliance, self-sufficiency? It is voluntary labor. It is also marked in the passage. The last passage talks about the voluntary labor, voluntary community participation that has made this region self-sufficient. So here we solve this case study based MCQs questions. Now we come to section B. Our section A is over with the MCQs question. Now we come to section B, and 18 to 23 are short answer type question. In section B comprises of short answer type question. Now again it is a passage given to you. Now you have to read this passage and you have to write down the short answers based on this passage. So you can find the answer itself in the passage. Now we see, if we go through it, it is talking about Barmur tribal area which is located in Himachal Pradesh, and in it we are talking about Gadi, a tribal community. It is a tribal community and they are talking about the socio-economic pattern of this Gadi tribal community. So based on these, if you go through the passage, here also I have underlined the important keywords, the important crux of the passage, because it helps you in solving your answers. So based on this passage, our first short type question will be, how have the Gadi tribal community maintained a distinct identity in the Himalayan region? Right? Gadi tribal community, how they have maintained itself a distinct identity. You can find it in the first paragraph itself, because of they have maintained as they practice transhumance. Now you know transhumance. What is transhumance? It is migrating from one region to another in search of food and fodder with their animals. So it's a seasonal migration process which is being observed by the tribal communities and converse to Gadiari dialect. So they have a different way of pattern because of the physical factor. They have been living in a very harsh environment. They have distinct socio-economic pattern and they follow transhumance, which is a seasonal migration, and they converse. Their way of communicating, they speak a particular dialect, the Gadiali language, right? Now then our next question is, which factor have influenced the society and economy of the region to remain backward? Now what are the factors which are the main reason for their backwardness? So we can see, because of their living conditions, because they live in harsh climate condition, low resource, fragile environment, which has led to their backwardness. So this also you can find in the passage itself. Under the now integrated tribal development project, it is talking about a project. In the later paragraph you can find about this integrated tribal development project, which areas were given the highest priority. This plan laid the highest priority on the development of transport, communication, agriculture and its related activity, social and community service. I can show you in the passage itself, the answer is given. Look, under the last paragraph of the passage itself talk about it, that 5-year integrated tribal development project was started in Himachal Pradesh, and it focused on narrowing the gap between the development between this type of community and the other areas of Himachal Pradesh. This plan laid highest priority on development of transport, communication, agriculture, allied activity. This is the answer of your given question. So this is how you can solve. Read carefully, and while reading underline the keywords itself so that you can solve the answers quickly, because you don't have much time. You have 3 hours in which you have to complete all your 4 sections. So this is a quicker manner in which you can do your paper. Now next question, short answer type. Now a map is given to you. You can, if you know your world map, you can easily identify which country map it is given. Now given on the map itself, you have the answers. Name the railway line and name the country where it lies. Now if you are able to recognize the country and the places and the railway network which is being given, so you can answer this question in one-liner. These are one-liner or two-liner answers. Railway line, Trans-Siberian Railway it is located in Asiatic Russia region. Next, name the station marked as A and B. Now A and B, you can see A is marked here and B is marked here. So you should know the location of these places itself. Station A is Moscow and B is Chita. A is Moscow and B is Chita. Now state 2 reason why it is most important route in Asia. Now why it is so strategically important? It helps in opening up Asia to the Western European. You can very well see that it is connecting on this west side to the European region. Chita is an important agro center and Irkutsk a fur center connecting them to Odisha in the south. So it is important agro center and a fur center which is connecting them to the southern part of the Asian countries. So here you can see that it is important because it's connecting to the European and to the Asian country itself, and it is opening for avenues of export, because if it was not connected, then their revenues and they already what are they producing will remain to the country itself. So it has increased its revenue margin, its export margin, that it is connected to other world countries also. Now for visually impaired student, the answer will be same, but there is modification in the questions. I can read the questions for them. First question will be, name the longest railway line of Asia, in which country it is located. Name the capital city and important agro center in this line. Give 2 reasons why it is the most important route in Asia. The answers will be the same, only there is a bit modification in the question. Now moving on to the next question. What is meant by density of population? Explain with example the physical and economic factors which affect population distribution. Now this question comprises of 2 parts. First you have to answer the what do you mean by the density of population. In the next part, what are the, you have to give the with example you have to explain the population distribution. So first how you will write the answer we see. Now first answer the first part. The density of population is a measure of human and land relationship. We know that density measure human and land relationship, the ratio. It is expressed as a number of person per unit land, ratio between human and land. So it is expressed as number of person per unit area. We tell person per square kilometer. This is density. It helps in getting a better understanding of spatial distribution of population in relation to land. So here you answer your first part of the question. Now the second, the physical factors like climate, terrain and availability of water affect population distribution. For Example, the North Indian plains, delta, coastal plains have higher proportion of population than another regions of the country. The first we are giving answer to this aspect of the question. Give an example of the physical factors which affect population distribution. As we all know that plain areas, areas which have favorable climatic condition, they have a better population density as compared to the areas which have harsh climate, right? Now next, economic factors like industrialization, urbanization, development of transport, where you can get more good job opportunity, where you can get a better life quality. There also you can experience a better population density, like example Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Bangalore or Pune. Now the next question is, there are choices between the short answer types, so you have to choose among the given choices which you have to attempt, which question you have to attempt. Now the second choice that you are given in this question is, with a need and label diagram, explain the 3 stages of demographic transition model. Now this is the demographic transition model which we have already solved this question in our MCQs. Again it has been asked. Now you have to draw this, so you have to know it thoroughly, your model. Now drawing this, you have to know what should come in the vertical axis, what should come in your x-axis and y-axis. Here we are writing crude birth rate / crude death rate. On the horizontal axis, we are writing the name of the countries, and it is the time period. Actually it's telling about the time which is this growth model is taken. There's a first stage, of course the stage first represent. Now this you have to, here I am explaining you in a brief manner, but you have to write all the 3 stages. You have to explain about all the 3 stages. The first stage, you know, it deals with the high fertility and high mortality, right? Now here the population growth is slow. Most of the people are engaged in primary activities. Now this type of economy exists in 200 years ago, right? Most of the population were illiterate. Fertility in the second stage defined, fertility remains high but mortality start decreasing. It is accompanied by reduced mortality because there was improvement in healthcare facilities, sanitation. So, but still the net population remains high. Now the third stage, both fertility and mortality started decreasing. The population is either stable or grow at a very slower phase. And it represent what kind of socio-economic society it represent? It represent a urbanized, literate and highly developed technical society. So this stage gives an example of Japan, right? You have many European countries, also Denmark, which are experiencing the last stage of demographic transition model. India fits in the second stage of demographic model, and the first is the underdeveloped country, mostly of African countries, which is experiencing the first, and it mainly due to their illiteracy and very low or nil economic development. So here you have to explain all the 3 stages step by step. Next question, examine the features of cottage manufacturing or household industry. Now you know these are small scale industry, so you have to write in points the important characteristic of these industry. So what is the answer? I told you it's a small manufacturing unit. Use of local. Now the raw material which they use are local, simple tools. Goods are produced and they are sold among themselves, among the community, or to the local market. Some common example of product produced in this includes, what are the examples? Foodstuff, containers, fabric, tools, jewelry, pottery. So these are the mainly items of the household industry. Next question, how is naturalization of human different from humanization of nature? You should read your first chapter of human geography very thoroughly to answer, first to understand this concept and to answer this question. Now given in this answer, you can choose any 3 points and you can write, because this is short type answer. Naturalization of human, what is naturalization of human? It refers to the interaction between nature and human, and here the human adapts itself to the dictates of nature. Humanization of nature, because we are talking about differences between these two, so we have to draw a divided column, divided chart, and here you have to explain the contradiction between these two concepts. Humanization of nature, it refers to the interaction between the forces of nature and humans who began to understand the forces of nature. Now here the understanding among the humans developed, and he tried to understand the forces and the mechanism of nature and try to control it. So here there is a difference. The humans are slave to nature. Here the humans are dictating the nature. It indicates a very low level of technology development, high level of technology development. Naturalized human listen to nature and are afraid of its fury. They move from the very important line. They move from the state of necessity to the state of freedom. Now they are free to choose among the choices that the nature has given to them, right? So they are no more slaves to the nature. They are free to explore the choices given by nature and live their life accordingly. Direct dependence of human on nature. Resources are obtained from environment to create more opportunities. Here the word opportunity, the important words you just emphasize and remember the important words. You can frame your sentences accordingly, but remember the important keywords. The physical environment for naturalized human becomes Mother Nature. Here the physical environment is what? Mother Nature. They praise the nature. Here human make use of nature so that nature get humanized. Now the nature is getting humanized. They are blending nature according to them, and they are showing their imprint. They are leaving their imprints, human imprints on nature itself. So they are exploiting, of course, they are exploring also, and they are exploiting also. And here they are simply following the commands of the nature. So this is the difference between them. You can concise it and write it in your short answer types. Now it has an option. Now the second option was the approaches to the study of human geography have been evolving over a period of time. How have these schools of thought changed the approaches of study to human geography? Now this is also a question from your human geography chapter. Now it is talking about the different approaches, different school of thought, right? The first we in answer we are talking about welfare or humanistic school of thought. And what the welfare humanistic thought give us or teaches us, it talk about the welfare of the whole society. It talks about the welfare of the whole community itself, means how well-being, social well-being. It talk about social well-being of the people. It talk about giving them better standard of living, health, education. Geographers have already introduced a separate paper. It is very important because of its growing importance, and more emphasis is given on this. A separate paper has also been given. The radical school of thought. Now second, what school of thought we are talking about? Radical school of thought talks about the Marxist theory. Marxist theory criticizes, that means they consider capitalism as the evil of all things. They think that the capitalism controls the whole market and they exploit the laborers, the other sections of the society. So the basic cause of poverty is capitalism, deprivation, social inequality. So it is all related to the development of capitalism, and they preach for a just and equal society. The behavioral school of thought. Third is the behavioral school of thought. What they laid in great emphasis on lived experiences and on the perception of the space. Now, behavioral school of thought deals with the kind of the human behavior. They deal with the kind of the human perception, how the human perceives its space and how he utilize that space accordingly. So it all talks about the life experiences, the perception, and the factors which influence his perception, like his caste, culture, society, its literacy level. These are all the factors. Now, next question. Elucidate any 3 characteristics of the most effective and advanced personal communication in India. You can choose any 3 points and you can write. The internet is the most, now it is talking about advanced personal communication system. First, go through the question, read the question very correctly and carefully. So what it is asking about personal communication system. So the internet is the most effective and advanced personal communication, we all know it. Enables the user to establish a direct access to the world of knowledge and information. It is like a huge central warehouses of data. It provides information at a very low cost. We know it is providing data, knowledge, information at a very cheap prices. It is being increasingly used for e-commerce and for money transaction process. So you can choose any 3 points and you can write. Now we come to section C. It comprises of long answer type questions. Now there is also internal choices given among the answers and you have to choose any one of them. Describe the main characteristic of intensive subsistence agriculture. In which part of the world this type of agriculture is practiced? Now this question again comprises of 2 parts. First you have to explain what is intensive agriculture. Then you have to give an example where it is being practiced. The answer, it is found in densely populated area of monsoon Asia. Because Asian countries, Asia experience monsoonal type of climate and it is highly dense. It has high population density. So here intensive subsistence agriculture is being practiced. Now intensive subsistence agriculture is divided into 2 parts. Intensive subsistence agriculture, that is dominated by a rice paddy cultivation, and second, intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crop other than paddy. One is dominated by paddy and other is dominated by crops other than paddy. So first we will discuss about this. Land holding are very small in paddy cultivation. The land holding is the size are very small. Farmers are mainly the family itself, the family laborer, the whole family are engaged in one particular land holding. Use of machinery is very limited. All the work is being done by manual, by hand. Farmyards, manure is used. Now locally made manure is used to increase the soil fertility. Here the yield per unit area is high but per labor productivity is low. This is an important line. Yield per unit, output is high but per the number of people employed, the need for labor is generally required, is not so required, but more labor is engaged in a particular small patch of area. So per labor productivity is low. Generally whole family is engaged in one small patch of land. Now what are the characteristics of the crop that are dominated other than paddy? Due to difference in relief, climate, soil and some of the other geographical factors, it is not practical to grow paddy in many parts of monsoon Asia. That's why they cultivate another crops because of the difference in physical factors. Wheat, soybean, barley, sorghum are grown in northern China, Manchurian area, North Korea and North Japan. So this is in India. Wheat is grown in western part of Indo-Gangetic plain and millets are grown in drier part in western and southern India. Most of are similar to wet paddy except irrigation is often used here because they are grown in somewhat dry areas, less wet areas. Irrigation is used in this type of cultivation. Now our next question comes, it talks about the problem of slums and waste, urban waste disposal in developing countries like India. Now this is also an elaborative question where it is practical question, actually practical, deals with your current scenario. So you have to, or you can write this answer in points also for better marks. Now we talks about the slum. The slum, as we call in India, Juggi Jhopdi, and colonies of shanty structure is a major problem in developing countries like India. In developed countries, you won't find slum, but in developing countries, because of the unplanned development, urban development, you find slums very often. They are inhabited by the migrants from the rural areas where they come to urban areas in search for the jobs, and they can't afford the high rent which the urban areas provide. The cost of living is very high, so they occupy environmentally degraded, incompatible areas where they lived. They are residential area. Of course, they are residential area inhabited by people of least choices. Their houses are also burned down. They are not properly built. They have got improper house, poor hygienic condition, poor ventilation, lack of basic amenities and all this, open defecation, unregulated drainage, narrow street. They are prone to very health issues, environmental hazards. Most of the slum population work in low paid because they are mainly laborers and they work in a very low economy sector. Risk prone unorganized sector. They are mainly majority work in unorganized sector. Consequently, they are undernourished, prone to different type of diseases and illness, and cannot afford to give proper education to their children. So they are highly vulnerable section of the society. The poverty makes them vulnerable to drug. Now you can find the cases of drug abuse, alcoholism, crime and all these in these area, and they are socially excluded from rest of the settlement of urban area. Now our next question, that the question was very easy, but you have to answer it very properly, in a very proper manner. Next question is, how have good governance and people oriented policies with reference to pillars of human development increase the value of freedom and capability? Now first try to understand this question. You have to explain the pillars of human development, and while explaining the pillars of human development, you have to answer this question that the value of freedom and capability have given more weightage to it. It has got internal choice. So the next question is, the ways to measure human development are constantly being redefined. Evaluate this statement keeping in mind the attainment and shortfall in human development. Now it is also talking about human development. You have to evaluate this statement and you have to give you have to discuss the human development itself, what are its shortfalls, what are its attainment, then you have to justify this statement. So first we will deal with this question. good governance and people-oriented policies? Now this answer is, while leading a long and healthy life, we are gaining enough means to live a decent life. That are most important aspect for human development. First, you can give the definition of human development itself. Now the four pillars. What are the four important pillars of human development? Just any building is supported by pillars. The idea of human development is supported by the idea of equity, sustainability, productivity and empowerment. Right? Now equity, what do you mean by equity? Means equal access. Equal access to opportunities to everyone, irrespective of their gender, race, income. It is often not the case and has happened in every society. In any country, it is interesting to see which group the most of the school dropouts belong to. So you have to see and you have to evaluate if you want to see the aspect of equity that is in the country or not. You can evaluate whether every section of the society is getting the same opportunity and it's standing on the same platform. In India, large number of women and persons belonging to social and economically backward group are the school dropout because they have taken one parameter to judge this factor of equity. A school dropout, we have to see what kind of section are the most school dropout in every country. So we can see the women are especially the most hard hit of this dropout enigma, and the economically backward who can't afford their higher studies are the most school dropout. This shows the choices of these group. Now the choices that these group, women and the economically backward, their choices are now limited and they have no access to knowledge. Now this is a parameter, this is how you judge the pillar of the concept of equity. Now sustainability. What do you mean by sustainability? Continuity in the availability of resources, in the availability of opportunities for human being. Means each generation should have the same opportunity. Our later generation and our forward generation should have the same opportunities which we are availing. All environment, financial and human resources must be used keeping in mind the future. Misuse, it will lead to fewer opportunity left for our future generation. Now example is the importance of sending girls to school. If a community does not stress the importance of sending its girl child to school, many opportunity will be lost in its young age and they will not be able to make their career choices when they grow up. So their opportunity is what? Curtailed. So each generation must ensure the availability of choices, whether it is the choice of education, whether it's a choice of standard of living, access to health, any other thing that the society is being given. Now next pillar is productivity. Here means productivity means human labor productivity or productivity in terms of human work. Such productivity must be constantly enriched and enhanced by building capabilities. A good developed society try to increase the capability of its existing human resources. Misuse of any resources will lead to fewer opportunity. If you are exploiting and making your human resources exhausted and you are not increasing and not enhancing its capabilities, it means you are again curtailing its freedom, curtailing its choices, and this leads to your less opportunities for him. Therefore, efforts to increase their knowledge or provide better health facility, ultimately if you provide them a better decent work opportunity and decent standard of living, it will definitely increase work efficiency. Next, empowerment means to have power to make choices. Empowerment means what? That I have a power to make the choices of my own choice, will. Such power comes from increasing freedom and capability. When you increase someone's freedom and capability, then only he can expand his horizon of choices. Good governance, what are the important? Good governance and people-oriented policies are required to empower people. Now, what is required for this? Good governance and people-oriented, people-focused policy. The empowerment of socially and economically disadvantaged group is of special empowerment, and the weak and the less marginalized group have to be uplifted and they have to make more empowered. What was the question? The ways to measure human development are constantly being redefined. Evaluate this statement keeping in mind the attainment and shortfall in human development. Now, looking at the question, what the question was saying, that the Human Development Index is being revised and redefined with changing time. So, the United Nations is revising with the changing time the parameters of Human Development Index. And a new way of capturing different elements of human development. With time, what all new elements are coming in and what are being eliminated, it is being revised. Researchers have now found a link between corruption or political freedom in a particular region. As we know that the political dominance and administration is going in the current time, so a link between the human real development of a region and the corruption prevailing over there is being found. There is also a discussion regarding political freedom index. Now, a new index has also been evolved. Political freedom index, how the country is politically free to make its own decision, and a listing of the most corrupt country. What is the level of corruption prevails over a country? The Human Development Index measures attainment in human development. We all know that it reflects what has been achieved in the key areas of human development. Yet, it is not the most reliable measure. We have already, in the previous answer, we have already gone through the pillars of human development, but now with changing time, it is not the most reliable measure. This is because it does not say anything about distribution, the level of distribution, the balance of distribution. It does not talk about the equal distribution of resources. The Human Poverty Index is related to human development. That's why after the evolution of Human Development Index, later on Human Poverty Index was also evolved to measure the real development of the country, whether the poor and the marginalized people are getting they are getting the fruits of the development from the development of a region. This index measures the shortfall. Now, which index? Human Poverty Index measures the shortfall in human development. It is a non-income measure. Otherwise, human development take into account the per capita income. Human poverty takes the non-income measure to see whether the resources are well distributed among the poor and the less marginalized section of the society. The probability of not surviving till the age of 40, the adult literacy rate, the number of people who do not have access to clean water. Now you can see the non-income measures. These are the parameters. The number of small children who are underweight. These are all taken into account to show the shortfall in human development in any region. Often the Human Poverty Index is more revealing than the Human Development Index. Now you can see, of course, all these parameters are very important to judge whether the society is really developed or not. So we can say by looking at these parameters that Human Poverty Index is more revealing. So here the human poverty gives a more accurate picture of the development of a country. Now the next question is, justify the tremendous growth of service sector in developed and developing countries than the manufacturing sector. Explain giving suitable examples. Now you have to explain the growth of service sector in developed and developing countries. Then manufacturing sectors. Highly sophisticated machines and technology are available now. Manufacturing sector which are operated and controlled by few people, due to which many people earlier employed are seeking less job in this sector and are going for the service sector because it employ and it is controlled by very few people. Now the service sector is a growing market in developing and both the developed countries, so it attracting more people, it is providing more job opportunities to people. Most of the manufacturing companies need large number of people in non-direct production and they have high income than the people engage in direct production. So this is again a disadvantage of the manufacturing sector, and again because of people are now migrating from manufacturing to the service sector. The service sector is growing importance because more and more females, they provide better work conditions for females and high per capita income and more growth opportunities are there in the service sector. Growing income, people are demanding more services, and with the growing of the economy itself, the service sector is increasing. Medical facility, entertainment, hospitality sector, you can see tourism sector, you can see travel tourism. Because of this, service sector has changed drastically and it is attracting more and more people from all corners of the society. Tourism increases, for example, then people in the hospitality industries are getting employed. Growth in service sector indicates a growth in your total GDP, country GDP. Hence the government make all effort to uplift the government. If the revenues of the government are increasing, then the government is also trying efforts to grow the service sector by providing more funds, gratuity, pension to the employees. So it increases per capita income of the people. Now your 28th question is also internal choice. Analyze any 5 problems faced by Indian farmers in agriculture. This is also easy, not that difficult. Second, on the basis of the main sources of moisture for crop, analyze the type of farming in Indian scenario. For this section, you have to prepare your agriculture chapter very thoroughly. Dependence. Now, answer of the first question is dependence on erratic monsoon. You have to give any 5. You know we have got erratic monsoons. So there is need for irrigation. Irrigation covers only 33% of the cultivated area and most majority is rain-fed. So poor performance of southwest monsoon adversely affect the supply of production of the crops. The other hand, rainfall, now it is given the example of Rajasthan where rainfall is meager, so production is highly unreliable. Even in the area where there is good annual rainfall, there are also fluctuation. This makes them more vulnerable to drought and flood. And drought is a very common phenomenon in low rainfall area, and where there are high rainfall, there are chances of floods. So it is also leading to the crop destruction. So they are considered as twins menace in Indian agriculture, drought and floods. Low productivity. Why there is low productivity in Indian agriculture? Yield of crop in the country is low. Per hectare output of most of the crops such as rice, wheat in India is very low because of very high pressure on land resources. Labor productivity is also very low. We have talked about labor productivity in intensive subsistence agriculture. Labor productivity, the labor that is required per unit areas like not optimum. So labor productivity is low, and in dry areas also the pressure on land is low, and there mainly are coast cereal crops are grown which have low yields. in dry area, the crop which are grown, cereal crop which are grown, they have low yields. Constraints of financial resources and indebtedness. You know that the Indian farmer is not financially well established, so most small marginal farmers have to take loan from the bank, and they are, in case of crop failure, they are indebted to the bank. So this viscous cycle of loan indebtedness continues, and it eventually lead to downfall in agriculture. So here you can see how they are becoming slave to the money lenders and to the bank itself. And lack of land reform, very important, because historically in British time, where we were having three system of land holding, Mahalwari, Rotwari, Zamindari, and Zamindari was the most exploited land system. There the situation of the farmer gets worsened. Now after independence, many reforms were made, but they are not effectively implemented. Because of the failure of the implementation, the Indian farmers are again suffering. So you need strong political wills to implement such reform, and you can cite major agriculture reform that are being presented in the budget itself. Land holding, large number of marginal and small farmers in the country, so we have small land holding. We do not have big land holding, we have small land holdings. Are mostly fragmented because it's been divided in the family itself, so the size of the land holding gets fragmented, gets smaller and smaller, and the productivity gets low. Lack of commercialization, because most of the crops are grown for self-consumption, or they are being distributed in the adjoining areas only. So the farmers go fruit grain which are for their own family consumption, so there is less commercialization. Vast underemployment, they are employed in the cropping season, and in non-cropping season they are unemployed. So there is also, they are hit hard, they are not engaged year round. So you can choose any 5 point among these, and you can write down elaborate your answers citing the current example from the newspaper and reform that are being made by the Indian government itself. Now the second question talk about the classification of crops based on the moisture. So here is the answer. On the basis of main sources of moisture, crops the farming can be classified as irrigated and rain-fed. Barani. Because there is difference in the nature of irrigated farming, though there are two types, protective and productive farming. What is protective irrigation? Protective irrigation farming is to protect the crop from adverse effect of soil moisture deficiency. Now next, productive irrigation is meant to provide sufficient soil moisture. First is protecting the crop itself from the soil moisture deficiency. Next, productive irrigation is what? Increasing the productivity. It is enhancing. It provides sufficient soil moisture in the cropping season to achieve high productivity. Rain-fed farming is further classified on the basis of adequacy of soil moisture during cropping season into dryland farming and wetland farming. Dryland farming is practiced in India where rainfall is less than 75 centimeter. They practice various soil moisture conservation practices and rainwater harvesting that is being practiced in Rajasthan itself. Now another, in wetland farming, the rainfall of the soil moisture requirement is very high, and in case of flood there is soil erosion and there is destruction of the whole crop itself. The wetland farming crops are rice, jute and sugarcane. Now question number 29 and 30, which is your section D now. These are map based questions. Being a geography student, you should know your maps thoroughly, and they are again scoring 100% scoring, just like your MCQs. You can score maximum and to the full in these map based questions. On a given political map, now here two questions are given. First, we'll go through this. On the given political map of the world, we have to identify the following given features. Like this is the map that you will be provided in the exams, and on this given political map, you have to mark the places and the location which has been asked in the question itself. For this, you have to practice your maps daily. First, a shipping canal. Now you have to identify a shipping canal over here. So if you know, the answer will be Panama Canal. An international airport. Now you should know which international airport is located here. Which country is this? It is Frankfurt Airport. An international seaport. International seaport. Which place is this? Hong Kong. An area of extensive commercial grain farming. Downs. An area of external commercial grain farming. A nomadic herding area. A nomadic herding area. This area. So you can know Sahara, Sub-Saharan. Largest country of South America, Brazil. Largest country of South America is Brazil. And a major seaport. Again, a major seaport. So here Sydney is located. Again, for visually impaired student, the answer will be same. Only there is a twist in the structure of the question. Name the shipping canal between North and South America. Panama Canal. Name the busiest international airport of Germany, Frankfurt. Name the international trading port of Southeast Asia. You can see the Hong Kong, the important port of Southeast Asia. Name the area of extensive commercial grain farming in Australia, Downs. Write the name of the nomadic herding area of North America, Sahara. Name the largest country, South America, Brazil. Name the important seaport located on the eastern coast of Australia, Sydney. So the answers are the same. Now on a given, it was a question based on the world map. Locations you have to mark on the world map. Now you have to mark on political map of India with appropriate symbols the given question. Now this is a political map of India, and you have to mark these locations with symbols. So you have to select the symbols very accurately. You have to mark you can simply use A, B, C, D. Now we quickly come to it. Northernmost seaport, Kandla, a copper mine of Rajasthan. Khetri, a market-based oil refinery. Market-based oil refinery, you should know what the market-based oil refinery in Bihar is. Baruni. State with lowest population density, you should know, this is also your statistic question. Population 1. Arunachal Pradesh, largest coffee producing state. Karnataka, international airport of Kerala, Trivandrum. A state with highest level of urbanization, it is Goa. For visually impaired student, the answers will be the same. Name the northernmost seaport on the western coast of India is Kandla. Write the name of the oldest copper mine in Rajasthan. Name the market-based oil refinery located in Bihar. Name the state with lowest population density. Write the name of the largest coffee producing state, international airport, state with highest level of urbanization. So more or less the question are same for visually impaired students. So this is your complete question paper, your model question paper, and try to solve it within the 3 hours framework so that you can practice it thoroughly and you can do well in the exam. All the best from the Parishkar family itself and from my side, and best of luck for your exam. Thank you.